Hey guys, welcome back to another video. What we're going to be talking about today is some misconceptions and some myths when it comes to being a software developer and being a coder, right? So there's a lot of things going around that I've just seen, either in the workplace or, online that people think about software developers that just aren't true. And I just wanted to clear up some things for you guys and make your lives that much easier. So if you're new to the channel, what we do here is I give you guys a high level overview of what being a software engineer is like, and how you can make the transition to becoming a software engineer yourself, whether you're in high school or a bit older, working a full-time job already and you want to switch. This channel is everything you need, and I genuinely try to give you guys good advice. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. One of the biggest myths I've seen that people think about coders is that, if you're a more senior developer and you're more experienced, you can just show up, look at this code, whatever it is, and then understand it immediately. You know what I mean? Regardless of the language, regardless of what's going on in the context. A lot of people think that, just because you're an experienced developer, you just will show up, you read it, you're like, okay, yeah, I understand it. This is where this is going wrong. And this is how you fix it. I know I've definitely thought that way when I was an intern in the past. Whenever there was something that was bugging me or I didn't know how to fix, I would just call upon, a more senior developer and ask them for help, how to fix it, and expect them to just read it and, tell me exactly how to fix the problem, right? But the reality is that's complete bullshit. And really, it's kind of the same as, if you pick up a book and open it to a random page and then you're like, oh, and then someone asks you, okay, tell me exactly what's going on here, right? There's no way you'd be able to do that. You need to have, one, you have to have context. One, you need to know the actual language itself, right? And then three, you need to know what's going on in the app. What is the purpose of it? So just by looking at a random snippet of code, you'll have no idea what's going on. You'll have no context and you'll just be, blind basically. So to actually understand the code, it's going to take a bit of time. You have to read it, read some documentation probably as well, and kind of take a bit of time before you can actually confidently say, what's going wrong and how to fix it. And then that's even before, all this debugging stuff. So, just using your eyes, and if you think that someone can just show up to your code, read it and understand it, that's not the reality. And that applies to, junior, senior, any type of engineer. And this really applies to, if you can imagine like a junior developer asking someone more senior, right, for help on their code. It's even harder when it comes to junior developers because junior developers usually the code they write isn't going to be as good, as clear. And so reading that code is going to be like, oh wow, what is going on here? It's going to be a lot harder to find out what the code is trying to do. It might be easier to find bugs, but it's definitely going to be harder to read. So that's also something to take into consideration. Another huge misconception I see, especially among beginner developers, is that they think all you have to do is do a million JavaScript tutorials. Let's say you want to become a front-end developer, right? So all you have to do is just become such a good JavaScript developer. Take like 20 tutorials, do a ton of projects, you'll know everything about JavaScript, and then you'll get hired. You'll instantly get a 6-figure salary offer, and you think that's it, right? That's all you need. When the reality is you need to know so much more than just the language. I made a video about this on the past, but you need to know so much more than just the language, and it takes so much more to get a job. And coding and just being able to code really well is usually not enough. You really need to have great problem-solving skills. I've said this before, but problem-solving is really the core responsibility of a software engineer. And it's really hard to build up your problem-solving skills. It's something I try to work on every day, and it's something that is really took me a long time to even kind of understand how to problem solve. It was definitely when I was in college doing my undergrad and learning how to code, that's where I really developed problem solving skills. But before that, it's really hard to develop them. And being a good problem solver is crucial to being a good software engineer. Also in this day and age, just being able to code is really not enough to run a successful product. You need to know a lot more, hosting, Azure, Google Cloud, AWS. There's stuff like databases, there's a lot of things you need to know other than coding to really build a successful product. Even stuff like advertising or having an online presence, right? So if you want to kind of build the next app or build the next Facebook, whatever it is, and you're just good at coding, there's so much more that you can build a successful product without knowing how to code at all, right? So just knowing how to code isn't enough. And especially if you're trying to get a job, there's so many different things like interpersonal skills, right? Are you a good culture fit for the company? And one of the most important things actually is, can you explain technical concepts to people with no technical background, right? I always say that if you want to really stand out as a software engineer or in the job market, right? If you want to stand out as a candidate, get really good at explaining very technical things to non-technical people. if you can do that, that's like half the job as a software engineer. You have to explain certain things to different people, and it's a crucial skill that's really hard to, get good at, and something I work on as well. So yeah, that's definitely another big thing for you, especially if if you're in this mindset of I just have to get really good at JavaScript and take a ton of tutorials to get a job, right? It's not true. There's a lot of things you got to do, and all of that is not even including the interview prep, right? Being good at interviews is completely different than being good at coding, right? You can be an amazing software engineer but just have bad interview prep, and then you'll find it hard to get a job even though you're a great software engineer. So you really have to practice the interview prep as well, like doing stuff like leak code, getting good at data structures and algorithms, like space-time complexity, all this stuff, you're never going to really use in the workplace, but it's really crucial to get an interview. So really, that's another skill set you got to have as well, right? So it really takes a lot in this day and age, and just being good at coding, just doing tutorials and like building apps isn't going to really be enough. And the biggest misconception, this is my favorite one. I see this all the time, and it's something that I struggled with, for sure, like in college and when I was just starting out, is that a lot of beginners think you got to be like a genius. You have to be top of your class or like go to an Ivy League school, right, to be a good software engineer, to work at these amazing companies and have these great jobs, right? A lot of people think you have to have like the highest IQ in the world, and in reality, you don't have to be that special, right? It's not that crazy. It definitely took me a while to understand this, but all it takes, it's not really how smart you are. It's really more how disciplined you are, how motivated you are, and how passionate you are about coding. You can be the most brilliant person ever, but without the right skill sets and without the right habits, you really won't succeed. And that the same works regardless. You can be not the smartest person ever, but if you have amazing habits and an amazing foundation, there's no reason why you shouldn't succeed, right? As long as you kind of like what you do, you try to get better every day, you keep asking questions, you really dig deep and see and, reevaluate yourself and what you have to work on, be honest with yourself, and always just try to improve. There's no reason you can't succeed, guys, right? It's 2020, people in like third world countries are learning how to code. A lot of people are learning how to code. There's so many resources online. So you really don't have to be anything special to become a software engineer these days or to learn how to code, right? It's really not that crazy as people think. And it took me a while to understand that as well. So guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. 3 of the biggest myths that I've experienced and that I've heard about software engineering. Comment below if you disagree with any of these or if you have any more to add. If you like the content, as always, feel free to like and subscribe, guys. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. See ya.